Yo, what is going on, everybody? Shri Kanase here. So how to reduce costs when it comes to advertising. Now, one of the biggest things a lot of people that do e-commerce want is lower advertising costs with higher number of sales. And of course, that is literally a dream for everybody that does online business, including me. But how easy is it to actually get those lower costs when advertising? How easy is it to continue scaling while your cost for advertising is going down? Because it is definitely possible, if you do it correctly, to have lower cost when it comes to advertising while increasing your sales with your e-commerce store. Now, if you have been following me for a while, you'll know that I released a video on my channel where I went over how I was doing roughly $10,000 per day in the year of 2020 towards the early portion. And during that time, when I was doing $10,000 in sales, I was mostly using Google Ads for that store. And I was spending only roughly $500 to $1,000 to do $10,000 in sales. So it is definitely possible, in my own experience, to have lower cost when advertising. This video is going to go step by step on exactly how you personally can do it. But without wasting any more time, let's just jump right into it. The first thing you'll have to do in order to actually get those costs to go down is to destroy that like button until it turns blue. I promise it's gonna take just 2 quick seconds. Okay, hopefully I've done that, but let's start by talking about what the advertising cost is even determined by. And this is one thing a lot of people don't even know. Believe it or not, it's extremely important to know what your cost is determined by in order to kind of deal with it and find a way to lower that cost. Because if you don't really know what's even going on behind the scenes, you're basically just throwing your money up in the air and then watching it come crashing down, because that's what happens when you just let the system do its thing. So here are a few things you'll have to know regarding what determines the actual cost of the ad. So the number one thing is the number of competitors on that advertising channel. Let's face it, if there's a lot of people competing against each other, regardless of where it is, the cost is automatically going to go up, especially if they're competing for one same thing. And that is exactly what happens when it comes to advertising in general. And it doesn't really matter what advertising platform you use. If the platform you're using or if the interest that you're targeting on that platform have a lot of competitors for that, the people that are competing for that interest or in that platform are going to compete against each other. What usually happens is that they start bidding against each other. So if one guy bids 50 cents, the next one will bid 60 cents and so forth. And this just continues to go on and on. It kind of starts to stack one on top of the other, and this causes the overall CPC for everybody using that platform to increase. So the number one thing that really definitely impacts your cost when it comes to advertising is the number of competitors in general. Number two thing is the CPMs. Now, a lot of people just throw this word out there saying CPMs went up or CPMs went down, but they don't really even explain what CPM is. So CPM is actually known as the cost per 1,000 impressions. And that basically means that that is the cost that you are charged for reaching up to 1,000 people. Now, this doesn't mean that they clicked on the ad, but this just means that the ad was actually shown to them. Each advertising platform, each interest that you target is going to have a different CPM. Again, that's going to be impacted by some of the other things which I'm about to mention. But again, number one thing is the number of competitors. So CPM is directly impacted by how many people are trying to reach those same exact 1,000 people. But overall, this number definitely impacts the total cost of your ads. In addition, the third thing that impacts your cost is the advertising page quality. Now, what do I mean by this exactly? If you're targeting a page which is higher quality with a lot more quality audience which actually interacts with the ads and actually buys something, of course the advertising platform will charge you more for that. And it doesn't matter if you're using an Instagram influencer, if you're using a Facebook page, you could be using whatever you want. If the page quality of that page is very high, you can be expecting to pay a bit higher for that page. Normally, not something that is really bad if you're getting a good return on ad spend for targeting that page. However, this is not always the case, and we'll be talking about more regarding this later on in this video. But the fourth thing is the quality of your own website and your own products. Why? That is simply because the CTR is going to be influenced by the quality of your website and the quality of your products, including your ads. So if you're using Facebook ads, the first impression people have is that of the image ad or the video ad which you have for that product. If your image ad or video ad is not up to par for the audience, if they're not really interacting with it, these advertising platforms are automatically going to determine your page and your product as a low quality product, especially if you're using Google. And in that case, your listing is going to start heading more towards the bottom. Your advertising cost is going to increase over time. So this is another thing that definitely impacts your cost, and this all comes down to the overall CTR of the product and your ads. But just knowing what impacts the advertising cost is not enough, because now you need to know how to deal with it. Let's start off by talking about people's most popular platform, and that is Facebook ads. How can you be battling these raising costs when it comes to Facebook? There are several things you can do when it comes to Facebook ads. The number one thing is, if you're using image ads for Facebook, you may want to try switching from those image ads to video ads. Normally, if you follow me again, you know that I definitely recommend using image ads over video ads, simply because not a lot of advertisers do that. We want to always find a way to stand out of the crowd, and using image ads is the best way to do that. But this is not always going to be the case, because with an image ad, you may notice that your cost is actually higher than what it would be with video ads, and that's simply because with a video, people often spend more time looking at it, interacting with it, etc. That leads to a lower cost overall. So if you do notice an increased cost when it comes to using image ads, you may definitely want to try changing from that image ad into maybe a video ad. But in addition, you want to be trying different video ads all the time, because just using one video ad all the time is not going to work. You'll often notice that the cost starts to go up with that video. You want to find a video which leads to a higher number of percentage viewed. You can be looking at the 75% viewed or 95% viewed columns to determine this, but those two columns are extremely important when it comes to judging your ads. The higher that number, the better it is, and the lower your cost is going to be when it comes to Facebook. But just the ad is not enough. You need to be focusing on your interest as well. So what do you do with the interest? Number one thing I recommend is narrowing down your interest, maybe from a very, very broad interest with a large variety of audience to maybe something more narrow. So if you're trying to sell a bike on Facebook ads, you may want to target the main interest bike, but then your bike is a special bike designed only for kids. Then you may want to narrow that interest down from bike to kids bike as well. And whoever's at the top funnel of bike will now be narrowed down into kids bike. And the main reason why we do this is because we want to kind of narrow down on our audience, make it easier for Facebook to find the right people for us. Because if you make it too broad, your costs may be low in the beginning, but you may not end up getting any sales, compared to if you just narrow down from the beginning, have maybe a little bit of a higher CPC, CPMs, etc., but in the end actually get sales. And in the end, sales determine everything, and they determine how much we can be spending. So your number one metric that you should be looking at is this cost per purchase, and narrowing down definitely helps with that. The second thing you can do is test different interests which are more closely related to the product. So instead of just targeting the interest bike at the top, you may want to just scrap that all together and just target one ad set to the interest kids bike. That's just going to help you get closer to the interest that you actually want to target and the audience that you want to reach. This can definitely lower your cost, especially if you follow the number one thing which I mentioned, which is switching from image ads to video ads, and whatever video you use, using multiple different variations, making sure that video is right for that audience. But the third thing you can do with Facebook is target different countries. Normally, targeting just the US is not the right way to go, simply because with US, there's a large amount of audience. Everybody and their dog wants to target the US. Instead, you may want to try targeting the top 5 countries or major e-packet countries if that is where you provide service to. Of course, the number one thing is that you are able to actually ship to those countries. So if you're not able to ship, don't just target them to lower your overall cost, because it will lower it, but you might end up getting sales from those other countries which you don't ship to. That is definitely one thing you can do to lower the overall cost. But these are most of the things for Facebook. But this brings me to my last point with Facebook ads, and that is simply using bid caps. Now with Facebook ads, when you're creating an ad set, you'll notice that it lets you actually set a bid cap and let you choose the bid that you don't want to spend more on per click. And this normally I do not do, but this is another option for you if you're looking to really lower your cost, especially with a product which is already a winning product for you and you're just trying to find different ways to lower that cost. Simply set a bid cap, try out different bids for the CPC and see how that goes. But these 4 things, if you do one after the other and if you combine all of these, will definitely let you lower your cost when it comes to Facebook. And these things can also be applied to other advertising platforms similar to Facebook, like Twitter, Pinterest, TikTok, etc. Now, if you have been following me for a long time, and I really appreciate that if you have, by the way, and if this is the first time you're watching one of my videos, pause this video for 2 seconds and smash that subscribe button down below so you're staying up to date with all of these quality content videos that I put out every single week, and so that you can get ahead in your Shopify journey. But from the beginning, I was not really that into using post engagement ads for anything related to getting purchases. My main technique has always been to just run purchase conversion ad sets, no matter if the pixel is brand new or if it's old. And the main mindset behind that was that we were aiming for purchases. We can't take likes, comments, shares to the bank. I don't know of any bank out there that accepts likes, comments, and shares. If I did, then I would be the first one running those ads. But that is the main reason why I used to stick to purchase ad set. But in the recent months, I've been starting to implement more post engagement ad sets into my strategy. And what I've been noticing is that post engagement ad sets have actually lowered the overall costs of my ads in general. And while it may seem like post engagement ads don't have any type of correlation to the purchases, there's actually a really big reason why this happens. And the biggest reason is that people trust other people. The main reason why we run post engagement ads is not only to get more likes, comments, and shares, but also to have the people who get to view that ad via the purchase conversion ad set to look at all of those comments, likes, shares, and think, wow, this ad set is really getting a lot of likes, comments, and shares. People are trusting this seller of this product, and it must be worth buying because so many people are interested. That is the general mindset that someone who comes via the purchase conversion ad set goes into. And because of this, your conversion rate actually increases. People are trusting these other people that come from these post engagement ads, and actually running these post engagement ads makes a big difference just because you have so much engagement on your ad copies. But the main technique behind these post engagement ads is you want to launch PPE ads on only the Instagram and Facebook feeds placement, both of them ticked inside each ad set. And you want to launch them to the most general audience possible within that niche. So for example, let's say you're in the motorcycle niche and you sell motorcycle parts. You would create a post engagement ad set with the interest motorcycles. You want to stick to an audience size of above 5 million for post engagement, just because your main goal with post engagement is to get as many likes, comments, shares as possible within that niche. So the bigger the audience, the better for post engagement. But if your product is super general and isn't in sort of any niche, like for example a hat, I found success actually using post engagement ad sets with no interest targeting. That's right, zero interest. Just launch the post engagement ad with the specific age criteria, specific countries, and don't even choose any interest targeting. The Facebook pixel is super smart. It is still going to try to find those people who would be the most likely to engage with that ad copy and like, comment, share, etc. So in that case, I would let Facebook do the choosing for you instead of you trying to really narrow down the audience. Remember, in a post engagement ad set, the broader you go, the better it is. But you want to be launching about 3 to 5 different ad sets to these different audiences at $5 per day. Now, if you haven't already checked out a lot of my other Facebook ads targeting videos, I highly recommend that you check them out, because for the audience targeting, you want to be mixing up flex targeting with narrow interest targeting with broad targeting. And if you're not sure what that means, again, watching those old videos I have up will really help you. But start these ad sets at $5 a day. You don't have to go crazy with them. And you want to have 3 to 4 different ad copies within each ad set. The main reason why we have so many different ad copies is because we want to find that single winning ad copy which that specific audience is relating to the most. And the only way we're going to find that out is if we have multiple ad copies within each ad set. Now these 3 to 4 different ones, they need to be the same exact ones in each ad set. So don't have 3 different ones in one ad set and then another 3 different ones in another ad set. All of these 3 to 4 should be the same within each ad set. But the main goal for you with these ad copies is to play around with the thumbnails, the video or image ad, and the ad copy text itself one by one. Do not make all of these changes all at once. What I mean by this is, if you plan on changing the thumbnails, only change the thumbnails for all of the 4 ad copies. Do not change the thumbnail for one ad copy and then change the text on the other one, because you're not gonna know exactly what is working and what is not working if you do that. And again, our main goal with this is to find that specific winning ad copy your audience is liking the most and get all of those likes, comments, shares so that you can continue using that on your purchase campaigns. But once you have those post engagement ads up, and this is a very important step, but you want to be cycling in new ads every 4 to 10 days. Right now, what I've been noticing with Facebook is really liking when I'm consistent with the changes I'm making to my ad account, with the new things I'm uploading every single day. Facebook is really lowering my cost in general just because I'm doing that. Whereas last month, where I was a little bit busy with college, I was not doing that much uploading and my costs were through the roof. So if you continue to cycle in new ads every 4 to 10 days, you are really going to keep your costs to the bare minimum, and that is our end goal. But a really good thing to do that every time you cycle in these new ad copies is to, like I mentioned, play around with the thumbnails, video, image ads, or the text. And you can do this one by one for all of them. But once you have started doing this, you want to really monitor the impressions, the link clicks, add to carts, etc. Remember, our main goal with post engagement ads is not to get purchases, but to get a lot of link clicks, add to carts, etc. And if a specific ad copy is actually getting add to carts, even though we're optimizing for post engagement, that is a really good sign that you should be using that specific ad copy within your purchase objective ad sets. So after 3 to 5 days, look at which ad copy Facebook is spending the most amount of money on. It should be really clear as to where Facebook is spending a lot of your budget, and look at the kind of link clicks, add to carts, click-through rate that specific ad copy is getting. If it's getting a click-through rate of above 1%, that is a good sign. And if it even has add to carts, that is a really good sign. But keep a lookout on any ad copy that is performing better than the others you have running. Again, it should be really clear by the 3-day mark. And you want to create ad sets optimized for conversions with those specific ad copies doing really well. So let's say you have 2 ad copies instead of 1 doing well. I would put all of those 2 ad copies within ad set optimized for conversions. And again, this is really going to lower your cost in the end because you have a lot of likes, comments, shares, so your conversion rate increases. And also, Facebook likes it when you constantly upload new things to your ad account every few days. But along with that, let's talk about specifically video ads, because I know a lot of people love using video ads over anything else, which is not really a good thing, by the way, because my first winning product, I actually only used an image ad for it and it worked the best and generated over 6 figures. So don't limit your thinking to just constantly doing video ads. Try to broaden your spectrum, test both video ads and image ads. But in terms of video ads, when you do upload new video ads to your ad account, you want to mostly play around with the thumbnail first before you change anything else. What I've personally noticed is if you change just the thumbnail of a video and have the same exact ad text and the video itself, your overall cost actually decrease and your cost per purchase will decrease as well. Facebook thinks of this new thumbnail as a new video in general. And when that happens, Facebook starts showing your ad set to the best audience possible, which is the most likely to convert. So every time you want to change the ad copy up for your video ad, start with the thumbnail first. And once you do have these few different thumbnails up and running, monitor the ad on a 3-day basis, meaning look at the data for the past 3 days. If the costs again start rising after you've uploaded the new video after a consecutive amount of days, then you want to upload the same exact video again but change the thumbnail one more time. And every time I create a new thumbnail, I actually like to create 3 different thumbnails each time just so I can play around with the thumbnails, see exactly what my audience is liking the best. And I actually like these videos, which I have just uploaded, to run on the PPE ads, which I mentioned in the earlier slide. And you want to keep on repeating this process until basically the new thumbnails just stop working and none of them are bringing you any type of results. In that case, then I would create a brand new ad copy text or the brand new video itself. But as mentioned, run these 3 different ad copies with the different thumbnails inside the post engagement ad, see which thumbnail the audience is liking the best, and you'll know because Facebook spends most of your budget on that specific ad copy and you get the highest amount of link clicks, add to cart, etc. But once you do notice that, put that ad inside the ad set optimized for conversions, and that should really lower your cost again. One more thing regarding video ads is you want to limit the amount of text you have on the thumbnail itself. I see a lot of people have a headline at the very top, and while that may be a good thing in the video itself, for the thumbnail, it actually lowers your chances of getting that specific video shown to a high quality of audience. And I'm still doing a bit of research as to why this happens, but Facebook likes it when there's very little to no text on the thumbnail. But if you do have text, make sure it is in one of the top 4 corners. It could be in the left corner, right corner, bottom left, or bottom right, but make sure it is in one of the corners or not in the middle. And what I've been noticing is if you have more text on the thumbnail, you're gonna have a higher chance of getting a much lower reach with that specific video, and that lower reach is actually going to cost you more in the end. So again, limit the text you have on the thumbnail, but along with that, one thing you want to be doing is testing out new placements. I don't know why it is so common just to stick to Facebook feeds or Instagram feeds when you have so many different placements available. People are still scared to test the auto placements when I personally have found the best amount of results with auto placements. But you have to understand, Facebook has given you the option of testing on a bunch of different placements. One of the top ones, which I'm currently getting the best amount of results with, is Instagram Story, WhatsApp, and of course the infamous auto placements. I say infamous because people used to avoid it like the plague, but I've been using it for the past few months and I can't tell you what kind of amazing results I've been getting. But what you want to be doing with this new placement is create new ad copies for each specific placement. So for Instagram Story, the dimensions are much different than those for Facebook feeds or Instagram feeds. On Facebook and Instagram feeds, you can have a square video or square image, but on the Instagram Story placement, you need to have a vertical video. So do check that out exactly which dimensions you need for each placement, but make an ad copy related to that specific placement and test it out on these different placements. Again, you're not going to get the best results on every single placement, but you'll start to notice that Instagram Story may give you better results than WhatsApp, or WhatsApp may give you better results than Instagram, but you're not going to find out until you test. But based on my own previous experience, what I've been finding is on Instagram Story, video ads have been working the best, while on the auto placement feature, both video ads and image ads have been working the best. You have to test so you can really understand what is working the best for your ad account. Again, something that works for me may not always work for you. And in the case of WhatsApp placement, image ads have actually been working the best for me, but you want to be testing both video and image ads if your product requires any type of demonstration. And once you have those ads running, monitor the results for 3 to 7 days. When you do find out a specific placement that is bringing you killer results, go all in. Don't think, oh, maybe I should run some Instagram Story ads even though it doesn't even bring me any type of sales. Maybe it'll start bringing me sales in the future. Don't think like that. You want to go all in with whatever is bringing you results. And when that stops bringing you results, that's when you want to diversify and try out the other placements. But spreading out your ads across these different placements is really going to lower your ad cost in general and help you keep on getting more profits long term with your specific winning product. Alright guys, so as I had already mentioned, it's really common for Facebook ad costs to increase as the quarter comes to an end. And the main reason for this increase in cost is that as the quarter comes to an end, big marketing companies that have businesses that advertise on Facebook start dumping their advertising budget all at the end of the quarter, because what these companies do is, unlike us, they have specific budgets for each month that they want to get rid of. And basically, if there is any type of budget left over during the end of the month, they start just pumping out Facebook ads. So let's write down the reason for this situation. Why is this even happening? So big marketing companies start pumping PUMPNG Facebook ads. And this brings an increased amount of CPMs, CPCs, and just pumps up the overall cost of everything. And this can be an overall problem for small marketers like us who may not have as much of a budget to spend on Facebook ads. And our conversion value ends up getting affected tremendously. But honestly, to battle these Facebook ad costs, there are actually really simple ways to tackle them and make sure that you end up profitable or break even at the end of the day. And unfortunately, one of these solutions is not completely stopping Facebook ads in total for the entire month. But what you can do during this time, and it is also one of the solutions, so let's write that down. So solutions, and I spelled that wrong, TIONS. And the first solution, oh, I spelled that wrong again. I am so sorry. But the first solution is starting to rely more on organic traffic. So let's write that down. Implement organic traffic. What this basically is doing good SEO for your website. And this is actually really easy. You can have someone from Fiverr.com do it for you for $5. It's a basic setup and they do basic SEO for your website, just $5. But this is something that needs to be implemented over time and it brings results over time. It's not something that's sudden like ads. But this is something that's working the best for my Shopify store. Because just this Friday, one of my Shopify stores had a lot of changing profit margins and a lot of fluctuation. So what I did was I was like, that's it. I'm done with Facebook's bullshit. I just want to take this weekend off from Facebook ads. So what I did on Friday is completely shut off all the ads for that specific store and only leave retargeting ads up and running. To my surprise, on the next day, which is today, I actually made more sales than I do with ads running for that website, which is really weird, but I'll take it. And also because none of my ads except the retargeting ads are running, my profit margin was like 40%. And the main reason why I'm still making sales after having no ads at all running is because of the tremendous amount of work I put into the SEO in the beginning. So let's write all of this down. So implement organic traffic, and what I mean by this is SEO. In addition to SEO, you want to have email flows up and running and also be sending out emails at least once or twice a week. So emails. A large percent of the sales come from emails and it's really important to have that set up. But the third thing that comes along with these two things is you need to have some type of rewards program or affiliate program on your website. And this could be added on later on in your journey when you actually had your first winning product. But let's write this down. So affiliate, LIATE/rewards program. And I also spelled affiliate wrong. But what these two things do is that they motivate your customers to go ahead and invite their friends or family members to the website, because with these programs, they're getting something in return. For affiliate, they're either getting cashback, and for a rewards program, they're getting coupons for referring other people, and the person they referred also get coupons. I had made a video on the apps that I use for my Shopify store, and the two apps that I use for affiliate and rewards program are also mentioned in that video. Again, the link should have popped up in the top right. But these three ideas over here are very simple solutions that are really effective when problems like these occur, where the Facebook ad cost starts to rise and you're just not making any kinds of profit from your store. Another thing that is one of the solutions for this problem is simply expanding onto other platforms. So by platforms, I mean advertising platforms. So expanding onto other ad platforms. I have some videos on how to get organic traffic from Pinterest and also videos on how to do Reddit ads. So they may be of use to you if you're looking to really combine other advertising platforms into your Shopify store to make an overall brand as a whole. Because honestly, in 2018, just relying on Facebook ads is going to be a huge mistake. Dropshipping has changed tremendously, and one of the things that has basically become required is that you expand onto other platforms and not just use Facebook ads. Because let's face it, everything's been fluctuating the last few months and it's been going crazy. So unless you're fine with dealing with all of these fluctuations and basically having profit one day while having a loss the very next, I think it's really beneficial if you go ahead and start learning about other platforms. And the third and final solution I have for you guys during these months, and this could actually be done in any other month, is using other platforms to sell on besides Shopify. If you guys have been following me from the very beginning, you guys know that I used to do eBay dropshipping in the early years, which basically gave me enough capital to start my own Shopify store. And that is exactly what I would recommend if you're finding it difficult to keep on running your Shopify store due to the increasing Facebook ad costs. So let's write that solution down as well. So selling on other platforms. And to name a few, there are eBay, Amazon, Wish.com, or Etsy if you do any kind of handcrafting stuff. But guys, overall, there is no way out of dealing with these Facebook ads. You're going to have to continue trying to test products, because if you stop testing, your pixel gets affected within 7 days. So after 7 days, it becomes kind of idle. You may end up losing the data that it has already gathered from previous tests. moving on to Google Ads. Now with Google Ads, it's a completely different game simply because Google runs on different metrics compared to Facebook. With Google, you have to be focusing on things like the images, the search engine optimization, relevance of your products, etc. And some of these things do also apply to Facebook, but overall it is sort of a different strategy. Number one thing you want to be doing if you're trying to lower those costs is to have higher quality images, especially the first image which everybody sees on your ads, or also the variant images, because with higher quality images, what you're going to notice is that you're going to get an overall increased CTR for those ads and for those products. When you have an increased CTR, your CPC is going to go down. And in my own experience, I've noticed that every time my CTR has gone up while my CPC has gone down, my cost per purchase has lowered and my ROAS has increased. And that is one of the biggest things you can do in order to increase your overall profitability for your store. But in addition, you want to be making sure that you're doing proper search engine optimization for your titles and product descriptions and the product images. Without proper SEO techniques, you will not be able to achieve the results that you want with Google, because these words that you use, which are search engine optimized, are basically interests that you're giving to Google to go target. With Google Shopping Ads, generally, you will notice that you're not able to put any interest directly like you would with Facebook to target. And these search engine optimized words are the words which act as interest. So that is why you want to always be focusing on proper SEO techniques when it comes to selling on Google Ads. But this brings me to the third point, which is simply increasing the selling cost of your products. Now, this is going to lower the overall cost of your advertising because you're going to be making more sales with the same amount of advertising spend. So overall, that is going to be similar to just lowering your advertising spend in general. And what I've personally noticed with Google Ads is that it takes the same amount of effort, maybe sometimes even the same amount of ad spend to get sales with a high ticket product compared to a low ticket product. And that is definitely a benefit when it comes to Google Ads. So you want to be putting in the work, trying to make sure that you find those high ticket products. I've made tons of videos on this on my channel, which you can check out. I'll leave the link for that Google Ads playlist in the description below. But this brings me to the fourth point, and that is relevance. Now with Facebook, you also need to be relevant, making sure your interests are relevant to your products. With Google, it's a little bit different. You want to make sure that the search engine optimized keywords are relevant to your product. Meaning, if you're trying to sell a cat necklace, make sure you don't mention the keyword dog necklace anywhere in your description, because then Google is going to mark that as a search engine optimized keyword. It's going to try and rank you for that keyword, which you obviously don't want because it is not relevant to what you're trying to sell. So make sure that your search engine optimized keywords are relevant to what you're selling, and your images and everything also matches along with that. But that brings me to my last point, and that is simply give more control to Google if you want to lower your overall cost. You can do that by simply starting a smart shopping campaign. I normally recommend this after having 50 to 100 sales with a Google shopping campaign in general. If you don't have that, do not start a smart shopping campaign, because smart shopping campaigns are very smart, but they need data to work. And the reason why they're so smart is because once you have enough data, once you have enough conversion history, Google then starts going out and doing its own tricks and trying to find you sales at a lower cost overall. So you won't be setting any types of bids, you won't be having much control over the campaign. That is simply because Google is now taking things in its own control and trying to minimize the cost completely. In my experience, smart shopping campaigns have worked wonders, but they do definitely require a lot of patience and time. But this is exactly how you reduce costs when it comes to the two main advertising platforms. You can of course apply these same strategies on other advertising platforms as well. But if you find any type of value in this video, smash that like button and smash that subscribe button, and I'll see you guys next time.